Have you ever tried manifesting something, but you couldn't seem to get it no matter how hard you tried? It was like the harder you ran after it, the faster it ran away from you. Today, I want to talk about importance, why it's the biggest sticking point in reality transurfing, and how to flip that dynamic so that your goals no longer ghost you and become easy to attain. My name is Bootsy Greenwood, and I've helped hundreds of people transform their lives with the principles of reality transurfing. And today I want to teach you about the principle of importance and how it's either making or breaking your manifestations and how to fix that so that your manifestations come to you with the least amount of effort. And the universe becomes your friend, your ally, and no longer your enemy. Listen, guys, I know this better than anyone. I have an extremely vivid imagination. It's super easy for me to conceptualize of things and to idealize things. And the more that I would idealize things, the more difficult they would be to attain. The more that I would have a crush on a girl, the more that I would think about how big my band was gonna be, the more that I would obsess over a performance, the more it would actually make me nervous and put me more in my head, which is a cycle of a downward spiral that just absolutely puts you in analysis paralysis. You can't move, you can't breathe, you can't do anything right. You're so self-conscious, not confident, but self-conscious that every move you do just seems like it's making everything worse. It's like everything that you're trying to do, it just constricts and it tightens and it makes it more and more and more and more difficult. Have you ever noticed that? Why is that? It's absolutely frustrating because we're told that in order to get something, we need to desire it. Now, I want to say this first. There's nothing wrong with desiring the thing. The problem comes when we make such a huge deal about it. When we start to obsess and compulse and get super thirsty, that is when the universe ghosts you. Frankly, it can't help itself. Think about a date that you've ever been on. If you're like the needy person who proposes before the appetizer comes, she's gonna run. And I wouldn't blame her. So let's dig down deep into this. I'm gonna show you exactly how importance is limiting your manifestation and how to overcome that problem. Now, I used to have really bad stage fright before I would go on stage. And I remember working on a cruise ship and I would see all the other comedians backstage and how tense and tight and nervous they were. Now, fortunately for them, they had rehearsed their sets over and over and over and over again. And through that action, they had limited some of those nerves. But they were still basically all just puking in a bucket before they went out on stage. And so it's like the more that they thought about their performance, the more they put that in their head, it actually made them less flowy. It gave them less charisma. It made them less attractive as they went on stage and less in the moment, less present. So when we get in our own way, we begin to obsess about whatever it is that we think we want, we all of a sudden start creating resistance to that thing, okay? I want you to think about it like this. We communicate with the world emotionally, whether we try to or not. So this might be our prize here. I'll draw a bit of a trophy. That might be a martini glass. Who knows? So as much as we think about this martini glass, okay, we start to create a lot of desire towards it. And now desire of itself is not a bad thing, but the more that we desire something, the more we begin to obsess about it, the more resistance we're actively putting between us and that thing that which we want. Think about the weather. I want to talk about this from that perspective. An emotional weather system is kind of what we're communicating here with the universe. We're saying, I don't have this thing, I really want it. I don't have this thing, I really want it. The more we loop on that, the more resistance we're actually creating toward that thing. And all this resistance, it has to go somewhere. All of this passion and desire and emotion, it has to go somewhere. So ultimately what it does is think about an actual weather system. It's hot, it's humid, it's just thick, and you can just feel how exhausting all of this pressure is. Well, eventually that system pressurizes and then a huge downpour comes, okay? So it comes down in the form of rain, it's a storm, and then boom, that just washes everything away. So it's all gone. Ciao, sayonara, it washes it completely away. And that's because of all of that excess energy, all of that desire, that over desire. It's like desire seems like a good thing to put in the gas tank. But if we overfill it and flood the engine, then all of a sudden the engine won't crank. It absolutely can't go anywhere, and it has no choice. So it's like the bigger the deal that we make anything, the harder it is to get. The more we double text the universe, the less likely she is to ever respond. Probably you're getting blocked. And that's just how it is. So desire actually gets in our way in the form of resistance energy. Desire is actually holding us back. The more we obsess and daydream and fantasize about that which we want, the more we're actually really telling ourselves that we don't have it yet. Want never gets. Have you guys ever heard the saying, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer, and the hungry never get fed? So this is an example of that. The more we obsess, the more we want, the less likely we are to actually be able to allow that thing into our life. It's actually so far from us, who we are, and our reality, that we're not able to get it. So the example that Vadim uses in Reality Transurfing is when you go toward your goal, it should be as if you're walking to the letterbox, walking to the mailbox. Now, when we walk to a mailbox, it's pretty simple. We think, hey, I'm gonna go to the mailbox. Do we lay down on the couch and do 40s visualizations about going to the mailbox? If we did, it would make it harder to go to the mailbox. But if we just simply go to the mailbox, which we know we can easily do, pick up the mail and then walk back up the street, that's great. We've gone to the mailbox, we've manifested. That's what manifestation is. Now, if we had to do an obstacle course, dig out a tunnel, climb a tree, swing down a vine in order to get the mail, well, that's a lot more obstacles. There's a lot more difficulty to actually get the mail. But many times over, that's what our mind does in order for us to attain the goal. So the stronger our thirst is, the more complicated that we make that which we're going after, the more difficult it's then going to be in order to attain it. If I don't have it, but I'm gonna chase it, it's gonna run away. It really is like an emotional weather system. So I want you to think about your goals in the simplest form, like going to the mailbox. This is gonna be one of the first things that's gonna help you understand this element of importance and how to lessen it. Because when desire becomes such a big deal, you become like the guy who proposes on the first date. Certainly probably not getting the yes on that one. So like the emotional weather system, the more we want something, the harder it is to get, the harder it is to attain. The more we crave, the more we pine for something, the harder it is to get. And it could be a very simple thing. The simple things seem to come along very, very easily. Why? Because we don't put extra obstacles in our own way in order to attain those goals. It's simple. I go downstairs, I make a peanut butter sandwich, I eat the sandwich. It's literally that simple. If we can approach our other goals with that same amount of importance, then it's gonna make them all the more easier to attain. But you're like, I really like this. I really want this. I have a desire. How do I let go of this fervor and this desire? And that is a great question. And that is what I want to talk about next. If you're tired of the muse flaking you, then I would love to invite you to see some of the results that people are getting, some of my clients in our school group, which is linked in the description of this video. We have a ton of information on this concept and many of the others in Reality Transurfing, as well as a thriving community that is helping one another attain their goals and dreams. Come out, kick it with us, see what we've got. Would love to see you there. I'm doing live calls next couple of weeks. We have some special guests as well. So go ahead and click that link. Would love to see you in school. Would love to see you internalize this information. So all things are naturally at a balance point. You're at a balance point as well as the reality around you. And when we want something, what actually happens is we create a disturbance in the field. We create a disturbance in that balance, and the universe must compensate. The more we obsess, the more we pine, the more big of a deal we make it, the more resistance, the more turbulence we're actually causing. So if everything is even at zero, but we value something up here and gotta have it, That's 1, okay? So we are at +1. If we really value it, we're at +2 or 3 or whatever. Well, these have to collapse down to 0. It has to collapse back down to 0. That's why when we get our hopes up for something, we get super excited. We want it so bad and we have to have it. Then on the other side of it, when we don't get it, we feel the same amount of emotional repercussions in disappointment, the same amount of idealization we get in disappointment. They're really two sides of the same thing. So that means the question is, how do we want something without scaring it away? And this is where the idea of the observer and the participant come into play. In Vadim's book, he says that we should become the observer of the play. I want you to think of this reality that we live in kind of like a video game, just for a metaphor for right now. I am a character in this video game. I'm an avatar. I am a participant in this video game. My awareness is limited by what this participant can know, okay? And so I want to draw you a bit of a spectrum here from observer to participant. We'll make this the observer. Now, the participant, like I said, he's locked in the game. He's in the game. He feels everything. When Koopa Troopa comes out and throws a fireball, it's very real. He's emotionally wrapped up. He's emotionally invested. He's feeling everything that's going on in this game. And it's very real to him. Whereas the observer, that's the person who's playing. That's the person with a control in their hand. They can pause it, eat a Cheeto, go and take a phone call, come back, and that fireball is still in midair, right? The participant is coming through. He sees a shell. It's Koopa Troopa. He puts his head on a square. It becomes a mushroom. He didn't know that was going to happen. Now all of a sudden he's bigger. He's like, how'd this go? Well, the observer kind of has an understanding. He can see a much broader perspective. What reality transurfing teaches us to do is to be the writer, the director, and the actor in the play. So we want to be in the auditorium and on the stage. That's the beauty of this. It's not saying only become the observer. It's not saying detach and become someone who has no feelings at all. It's not saying desire is bad, okay? Desire in itself is not bad. It's a great motivator. The problem is when we over-desire, when we start to be compulsive, and when we start to obsess over things, that creates so much resistance and so much turbulence in the natural balance of things that it would be impossible for us to get what we want. We're stuck in the participant reality, and in that participant reality, everything seems like so real right now. We can really only see that this fireball is coming. We don't know that there's a castle on the other side of this fireball. We've just got to fight the fireball. And so we're going to be going through lots of ups and downs in life. By becoming the observer, we'll be able to manage those emotional periods in a much more balanced way, where we're far less needy, where we're far less worried. We know, hey, look, I'm going to the mailbox, dude, okay? There might be something in the way when I go to the mailbox. That's not a big deal. I'll move it out of the way, okay? There might be, someone might stop and say hello as I'm going to the mailbox. Okay, my goal is still to go to the mailbox. No big deal, no problem. And now here's where I really want to illustrate something, because we talk a lot about this in my school group. I hope that you'll check it out, because these are the little tiny tweaks that can really help us. So if we have a goal, let's say we have a goal and it's right here, but we're here, okay? We're down here, and we're very much in participant mode. In participant mode, we see a linear progression to anything. So we think, oh, if I'm gonna make it to this goal, I have to do X, Y, and Z, and X, Y, and Z, and X, Y, and Z, until finally I get to this goal. This is my goal, this is my now, okay? In fact, our progression toward our goal is not linear at all. And the more that we become identified with this observer, the more we're going to begin to notice certain opportunities and paths to our goal that aren't actually even linear at all. What we could do is, instead of trying to manipulate this thing to get to here, and 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 manipulate this thing to get to here. We can come from the observer frame, knowing, hey, I want to get to this goal. There are easy and even multiple ways to get to that goal. I am going to take an action that will lead me to the goal, and I'm going to celebrate the action that I'm taking leading me to the goal. I'm going to let go of the outcome, which is the participant perspective. It's like, oh, outcome, I gotta get the fireball, I gotta get the mushroom, right? Instead, we're gonna shift our focus more to the observer side of, hey, I'm working toward getting through this level, and I'm going to use the tools and the opportunities that arise as a result of moving in this direction. I'm going to move in the flow. I'm not going to try to force outcomes. I'm going to take actions, celebrate each action, and then when the next door opens, I'm going to walk through that, okay? If there's a tree down right here, I'll walk around it, and I'll still be able to get to the mailbox. I don't have to make the mailbox more difficult to get to, but I do know that sometimes there may be obstructions on my way to the mailbox. So what we begin to do is, instead of formulating this very linear left brain plan, we instead learn to open up to the universe, see from a higher perspective, and then when opportunities arise, we can notice. We don't have these blinders on like the participant. Instead, we're the observer. We're like, oh, actually, so-and-so invited me out to this thing. I'll go and check that out. Then you wind up maybe meeting someone who has a contact for you, who can help you get a little bit further down the road. So this linear progression of getting to your goal, it winds up being something completely different than you would have expected, right? Like the path isn't what your mind could conjure, not at all. When I started working on the Impractical Jokers cruise, it wasn't something that I knew was even a possibility. I just got off a movie right now. I didn't apply for that. I didn't call anybody and beg them for it. I got the offer. It was crazy. Like when I got on the Impractical Jokers cruise, I was able to open up for Chris Stefano. I get to meet Jim Brewer. I get to hang out with some of the most incredible comedians, Ryan Hamilton. I get to open up for Doug Benson. So many incredible comedians, but that wasn't even on my radar. I was just being open as an observer in the moment. And I also want to point this out. I got to be a participant too and really feel the feelings of being on the ship and performing and experiencing that entire adventure. So really, really fun. It's really about being open and allowing certain circumstances to come into your life. Instead of fighting against them, the more we fight against them, right? We're fighting against the mirror. We're creating more resistance. We're making it harder. Instead, allowing what it is, seeing it from a broader perspective, and just taking simple actions, appreciating the fact that you took the action, and then from there, moving forward and letting things come into your reality. This is, in a nutshell, how reality transurfing works, and is a great way to lessen and reduce the amount of importance and over-desire that you have for your goals. Now, if this makes sense to you, I would love to see you in the school group. We do live calls all the time. We have several courses in there. I've got a ton of material. I've got blogs, videos, all kinds of information. I hope that you'll check that out. I would love to connect with you on a live call. I'm happy to answer any of your questions about this and any of the other principles in the book. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I really appreciate it. If you did like this video, then I would encourage you, if you're new to reality transurfing, to see the video that I just made on reality transurfing and its basic tenets. From there, come check us out in the school group. I've got a full-on reality transurfing course to get you acquainted with the concepts immediately and get you rocking and rolling as soon as possible. Thanks so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Have a wonderful day.